Switching gears, I saw that today thousands of Amazon workers went on strike. It's not good, but everyone who waited too long to order gifts is like, sweet, there's my excuse. Friggin' Amazon, you believe this? And I was going to surprise you.
Teach to the lie. Teach to the lie. It's kind of like teaching to the test. But when you're a lib, you got to learn to lie to the wife and the kids because it's going to be a lifestyle. And what better time than Christmas time? And the Teamsters Union and the gangster Sean O'Brien. You know that Amazon has 1.5 million employees. I guess Jeff Bezos has done pretty well, made something there. 1.5 million employees, 10,000 members of the Teamsters Union, the International Teamsters Union, headed by their general president. That's his title, General President of the International Teamsters Union, Sean O'Brien. And walk out at Christmas time, and it's a shakedown. It's a gun to the head. And they say, you give us everything we want, or we'll blame you for Christmas being ruined. We're going to ruin Christmas and blame you because we're leftists, communists, radicals, socialists. The old gun to the head. And speaking of the radical communist socialist gun to the head, you see what's going on Capitol Hill? Every Democrat in the House of Representatives voted to shut the government down for Christmas, except two. Two Democrats voted in favor of keeping the government open. But every stinking other Democrat in the House of Representatives voted to shut the government down for Christmas, and the media is blaming the Republicans because 38 Republicans also voted to shut the government down. And, you know, they did it over principle. The Democrats did it because they always goose-step together in lockstep. Clap, 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 coming down the cobblestone streets. Here come the Democrats, always uniform. Two of them deviated from the leadership program. Hakeem, you know how people named Hakeem love Christmas, big Christmas guy. And Hakeem's out there attacking Elon Musk and the Republicans. They hate Elon Musk because their brains are very severely damaged. Really crazy people. They're nuts. And they all vote to shut it down, and that's okay because they're Democrats. And the news media is so corrupt that the leadership, like Hakeem Jeffries, not on our side, big anti-Semite, raised and mentored by his notorious anti-Semite college professor uncle, Professor Leonard Jeffries, famous Jew hater from way back, but never mind that. And they all voted to shut it down. And the media are like, why do the Republicans want to shut the government down? And every Democrat in the House, save two, voted to shut it down. Kind of an amazing thing. We are, it is rumored, let's just say, being reported, which is the same as rumored, being reported that there will be a vote on Capitol Hill today while we're on the air. We're going to be on the radio, and we will share it with you as it happens to see whether and it's kind of a complicated situation, raising the debt ceiling, blowing out the debt ceiling, not the best thing in the world. But is it President Trump negotiating, right? The art of the deal. Is it President Trump elbowing his way through the crowd and putting Schumer in his place and the Democrats? And are the Republicans once again falling into the Democrat Party trap? And the Democrats are good at not very many things, but setting traps and ruining Christmas, which they despise because it's Christianity, and they'll take you to the Supreme Court to try to prevent you from taking a knee and saying a prayer after a high school football game if you're a high school football coach, because the Democrats, they're not exactly the party of, you know, going to church and being good Christian people. That's not who they are. Dog is their co-pilot. Keep that in mind. They've got Dog right there as their co-pilot. And so we've got this going on, and it's pretty wacky. The headlines everywhere. House GOP new funding bill to avoid shutdown fails in fast-track vote. But wasn't it the Democrats that made it fail? And that's okay. That's not in the CBS News headline, is it? The Washington Post, not a legitimate newspaper. It looks like a newspaper, but it's not. How every House member voted on the failed attempt to avoid a shutdown. I actually do love a shutdown. I live in Washington, D.C., so for me it means less traffic and easy to get in and out of stores and restaurants, and it's really much better. But that's, it's Christmas time, and, I can hear the sleigh bells now. Ching, 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 ching. But the Democrats, they it's kind of amazing. The Independent has, not out of the United States, has the headline, Democrats tank laughable Trump-backed spending bill with the help of Republican conservatives. And it's true, the conservative caucus, they used to call them the Tea Party caucus, they say, well, I don't want to just blow out the debt ceiling. Come on. But I got to tell you, it's from where I sit, it looks like President Trump navigating, President Trump negotiating, President Trump, the art of the deal. Give him this. Let's get past Christmas and the New Year. And please, the Democrats all voted against it, except for two. And they're not the bad guys in this. So Republicans need to, again, the lockstep Democrat Party, like the Socialist Workers' Party of yesteryear, the Democrat Party always goose steps into oblivion together. And if it hurts the country, they're all the more happy about that. They're much more happy about that, right? And then there's the news media, which the Democrats can always rely on to lie to us, the American people, the voters, the consumers of their filthy, corrupt, rotten news stuff. So we've got that as the big dog out there today. And again, I think it may actually be resolved. Resolved might be the wrong word, but I think it might be resolved while we're on the air. The vote, according to reports, or I could say rumors, because reports and rumors are pretty much the same thing, maybe a 10 a.m.-ish vote Eastern time to see if they can get this thing passed. And otherwise, oh no, the government may shut down at midnight tonight at 11:59:59, the last second of government funding. And then at midnight, the government shuts down, which it does every Friday night, by the way. Usually it shuts down earlier. It shuts down at close of business on Friday, and then it reopens on Monday morning. But that's not important now because this is politics, and politics is not based on truth or reality or what's actually going on. It's based on a number of other factors having nothing to do with truth or reality. But there you have it. It's Shutdown Day is the headline at Punchbowl. Johnson, the Speaker of the House, has a few options, and he does have a few options. Trump calls for Texas Congressman Chip Roy to be primaried amid government shutdown talks. Republican conservative Texas Congressman Chip Roy is very much opposed to passing this bill, and he doesn't want to blow out the debt ceiling, the debt limit. President Trump is calling for the debt ceiling, the debt limit, to just be done away with. No more. First of all, it's a big phony lie. President Trump is undoubtedly aware of that and is taking that into account because that does matter. Oh, we always pretend, we got some kind of a debt ceiling, $35 trillion. And then what are you going to set it at, $35.2 trillion? It's another $200 billion. It's completely ridiculous. It's a big farce. It's fake. You have to get regular order reestablished. You need regular order in Congress where we pass a funding bill and 12 spending bills, and we get the bills come out of committees. Remember that we used to have committees on Capitol Hill, and they'd have votes, and they'd propose spending, and then the full House would vote on them. We used to have a functional Congress. It's been quite some time now. We don't have a functional Congress right now. Chip Roy is one of the guys, and I understand he's stamping his foot, he's pounding the table. He said, I'm not going to vote to blow out the debt ceiling and pretend it doesn't exist. Well, the truth is it really doesn't exist. And even setting that aside, which is appropriate at this moment in time, I think, setting that aside, give President Trump the time, the breathing room to become president of the United States, even though he's acting president right now. You see, Joe Biden is going to Rome. He's going to go meet with the Pope. He's going to go meet with the Pope, who should certainly not forgive him for anything. Joe Biden, not the world's premier Catholic, I think it would be fair to say. And he's going to meet with the Pope while he's still president, because he probably won't meet with him after he's president, and he might have to pay for it himself. This way he can fly over on Air Force One and bring an entourage of airplanes, a sky full of airplanes with bulletproof cars, bomb-proof cars, EMP-proof cars, and all that good stuff, and helicopters and the Marine Corps. But he's going to go to Italy. President Trump needs to be given by Republicans in the House of Representatives and in the Senate when we get to that, the breathing room to assume office, take over, Republican Party take over control of the Senate and the House, and President Trump move into the White House, and then we can get down to business on the debt ceiling and other matters. But right now, let's not blow ourselves up, shall we? Because yada, yada. And I'll get into that during the course of our humble radio broadcast today. So President Trump and Chip Roy, and President Trump saying, let's get a primary opponent for Chip Roy and let's kick him out of the Congress. And that's President Trump's way of communicating right? And of negotiating and of navigating to where he wants to be. And I've got to say, never underestimate President Trump. He's doubtless 5 steps ahead of a lot of other people in this process. And yesterday I was kind of agog when I saw President Trump say, let's just do away with the debt limit. And who jumped on Twitter to agree with him, on X to agree with him? But Pocahontas, Elizabeth Warren, said, I agree with President Trump getting rid of the debt limit. And I don't know what that was, but that's how she talks. That's how she talks. She's not a Native American, is she? And when you've got Elizabeth Warren agreeing with President Trump on getting rid of the debt limit, you know that there's something else going on. There's another dimension there. Elizabeth Warren wants to destroy the country. She's a leftist, and she's not on our side. She wants to bankrupt the country. She wants to turn the keys over to the communist Chinese and to the Islamists because she's not on our side. But President Trump, I know, is on our side. So what kind of a game is he playing? Well, he's playing a game that is several steps ahead of the rest of us, or certainly a lot of other people. He's several steps ahead. And I honestly, genuinely believe that. And if he is saying, what he's doing is he's shelving it, he's kicking it to the curb for now, but he wants to position himself to be able to roll over Chuck Schumer instead of Chuck Schumer rolling over him while Schumer still has control of the Senate. He will do as much damage and destroy as much of civilization as he can, because that's Chuck Schumer's role in the world, to destroy, to cause havoc, to damage the United States, to contribute to our bankruptcy. I know that that's not President Trump's agenda, and so, and I know that the art of the deal and trust but verify. Going forward, President Trump needs the breathing room, and he needs to be able to elbow his way through this ridiculous place called Washington, D.C., and Chip Roy and the other 37 members, Republican members of the House that voted against this deal last night, scuttling the deal, should get on board with President Trump, and not just blindly following everything he wants, because that's not what this is. This is checkers at this point. It's not even chess. Just pass this with as little junk in it as possible and get to the next step. And in the meantime, the Republicans ought to be out there condemning the Democrats, since every filthy, stinking, corrupt one of them, save 2, voted against the bill last night. So they voted to shut down the government. Every Democrat, save 2, voted to shut down the government last night. And that should be what the Speaker and Trump and the rest, and J.D. Vance has been active in the last couple of days as well, and he's right on it. And at the same time, Hakeem Jeffries lets Speaker of the House Mike Johnson dig his own spending bill grave, the extreme left radical New Republic publication. But that's the perception, because the filthy, corrupt press is always out to stab you in the front when you're a Democrat and to perform acts of journalistic gratification upon any Democrat that climbs through their window at night. So that is, that's kind of where we are. But it may take care of itself even while we're on the air. In the meantime, President Trump is right, and Chip Roy, God bless him, he's wrong on this one. He is. And RFK Stadium site provision removed from federal spending bill, a blow to Commanders and NFL. Don't be an idiot. That's the Associated Press. That has no place in this idiotic bill that's supposed to be a stopgap measure. Pay no attention. We've got a CNN story for you. It's about CNN. It's not something they've reported. And the Wall Street Journal, how the White House functioned with a diminished Biden in charge. It's kind of funny. He was their sock puppet. It was Weekend at Bernie's for 4 years, and they're just admitting it now. I've been telling you this for 4 years, but now the media is going, hey, wait a minute. All these people are telling us that Joe Biden has been utterly diminished for 4 years. No kidding. You guys don't follow the news, do you? Pretty amazing. Joe Biden angry with billionaires buying newspapers. Almost all of them are faithful Democrat bootlicks, but never mind that. We've got Christmas and Hanukkah. We've got Tennessee College. I got an update for you on the racial slurs at a Tennessee college. You'll never guess what the investigation found. Chris here with a list of things that none of us should trust. The Washington Post, the New York Times, anything on CNN. Here's a list of things that I do trust. The Washington Times. Support real journalism for just $1 a week at washingtontimes.com/Chris. All right, we got a bunch of news, and we're keeping our ear to the ground on Capitol Hill, of course. We'll share all of that with you as the situation evolves. I've got Islam in Europe. I've got a lot of news today. Let's go to the telephones. Let's go to Rick, calling from Elmwood Park, New Jersey. Ricardo, you're on the Chris Plant Show.
Hey, Chris, thanks for taking my call.
You bet.
I got a letter off the Univision News from Luigi Mangione, and he sounds like an eco-terrorist. Would you like me to read a little bit?
Yeah, I'd read a little. You know, he was obsessed with Ted Kaczynski, the Unabomber, who was an eco-terrorist.
Okay, so it says, in this article, we argue that the Industrial Revolution and its consequences have been a disaster for the human race. They have greatly increased the life expectancy of those of us who live in advanced countries, but have destabilized society, have made life unfulfilling, have subjected human beings to indignities, have led to widespread psychological suffering. In the third world, it's physical suffering as well, and have inflicted severe damage on the natural world. The continued development of technology will worsen the situation. It will subject human beings to greater indignities and inflict greater damage on the natural world.
What do you think? Where do you think he learned all that stuff? And I love
he went to the school of Al Gore global warming.
That's right. Anti-technology. That makes him a Luddite in addition to being an eco-terrorist, right, Rick?
Yeah. And a crazy person on top of that.
And a crazy and kind of a run-of-the-mill Democrat. Give a run-of-the-mill Democrat a pistol and, hey, CEO, I hate CEOs. Successful people, I hate successful people. The Industrial Revolution, they're mad about things that happened centuries ago, like their slavery. Now, the theoretical, hypothetical, midnight tonight, midnight Friday government shutdown could have been averted, guaranteed, if any of the Democrats had voted to keep the government open for Christmas. But the filth run by famous anti-Semite Hakeem Jeffries, every stinking, smelly one of them, except two, voted to shut the government down for Christmas. But the entirety of the news media is what 38 Republicans voted to shut the government down. They actually have matters of principle having to do with the debt ceiling. And nevertheless, I would say, not that they should put their principles aside, but take the win, all right? And learn something from the Democrats every now and then. Take the win. Just get this done, and last night's bill would have sufficed. Not the other bigger one from yesterday, but the pared down version last night would have given President Trump the victory, the Republicans the victory. You wouldn't be causing any actual harm, and then you live to fight another day. And you're not the villain of the corrupt story from the corrupt news media. Did you pull that Wolf Blitzer thing? Because last night he had, who did he have on? He had a Republican on. Mike Lawler. And it's, 38 Republicans voted against it. And so they're the bad guys. That's it. And that's the end of the story. That's the whole narrative, as it were. And that's the entire narrative in all the news media. The Democrats goose-stepped together, faithfully, hobnailed boots, armbands, the whole thing, the usual, the traditional Socialist Workers' Party thing. On every issue, there is not an issue on which, again, they had two people disagree, which is kind of surprising, and voted in favor of it. But knowing that the Democrats had scuttled the deal, 38 Republicans are going to vote against it, and the Republican majority in the House is very slim, very slender, very narrow. Everybody knows. But if you're the Republican, you're the bad guy.
Let me just down because
let me just point out, Congressman, as of right now, if you take a look at the roll call, 31 of your fellow Republicans in the House of Representatives are voting against this current bill.
How many Democrats?
Now. So how can you say this is the Democrats' fault when you're in the majority?
Wolf, I love you, Wolf, but you got to stop just trying to defend the Democrats here.
That is a generous understatement by Lawler there, I've got to say. But that's it. Hey, Wolf, if you're looking at the C-SPAN count there on how many from this party are voting for it against it and how many from that party are voting for it against it, maybe you should also mention the Democrats because they were in lockstep voting against it at the same time. But that's what the news media does. They're not there to inform the public or tell the truth. They're there to be handmaidens to the Democrat Party.
So the fact that you have Democrats who normally would vote for this, refusing to do so, not because they disagree with the clean CR, not because they disagree with disaster relief, not because they disagree with aid to our farmers. No, they're doing so because they're upset that the debt ceiling increase is being taken off the table as leverage for them in future negotiations. That's what they're upset about.
That's what they're upset about. It is just 100% politics. They could, like Schumer and the Democrats, care about Christmas and little Timmy getting his G.I. Joe with Kung Fu grip. They could care less, getting the Easy Bake Oven to little Lisa. They don't care. Trust me, they don't care. They want children to be brainwashed at the earliest possible age to be anti-Republican. So if they can rob them of their Christmas, and then Wolf Blitzer will blame Republicans for it, even though 6,000 Democrats voted against it and 38 Republicans voted against it. I know it's not 6,000 Democrats, but almost all of them vote against it. But that's never mentioned because it's all propaganda. And I know Wolf Blitzer, and he's a perfectly nice man and all that stuff. But the filth that CNN has become and the propaganda that they peddle is a disgrace to what we used to call journalism, and we shouldn't call it that anymore. We should have a new name for it. Hey, what should we call journalism? The filthies. Come the filthies. Just amazing stuff. So the Washington Post, Republicans scrap spending bill under pressure from Trump and Musk. And Musk, they've got a Muskie thing. The Democrats are obsessed with Elon Musk in a sexual and non-sexual fashion. Pretty amazing stuff. But we'll get into this, the big lie. And I do have to say to the 38 Republicans, just, suck it up. Give your own party the win. Give President Trump the win and move on. It's not a big loss for you. It's not. Play the long game. Look at the big picture. Don't look at the world through a straw. Well, I'm not going to. It's a matter of principle. I can't vote for this because, that's in it. Okay. I do get it. I get it. But, like when you're talking to AOC and Elizabeth Warren and Bernie Sanders about assassinating CEOs, they say murder is wrong, but, and then they explain why it's right, because they're really in favor of murder because they're not liberals, they're leftists. All right, let's go to a phone call, Michael. We are, of course, at 888-630-9625, 888-630-9625. I believe that these 38 Republicans need to just get on board. We're expecting you. It's the love boat. And let's sail to a brighter future where President Trump doesn't have to get into this idiotic fight on January 20th and January 21st because, the Republicans screwed over the Republicans again? Can you? Will you? Do you learn from history? Let's go to the phones, Michael. Let's go to Nina calling from Bristow, Virginia. Nina, you're on the Chris Plant Show.
Good morning, Mr. Plant. Thank you so much for being the voice of reason every damn morning that I drive to work.
You're very welcome. I'm very happy to play that role.
Yeah, thank you. I have a question/statement. So it's regarding the CR bill and funding to rebuild the Francis Scott Key Bridge.
Yeah.
My question/statement is, why are taxpayers paying for that? When the port has insurance to cover it, as well as the company, Evergreen, I think it was, or whatever company it was that hit it, they also have insurance. So why does the federal government have to pay for that bridge through our tax money? My statement regarding that is, if I remember correctly, 2 days after it fell down, Biden rushed to the news to let them know that nobody has to worry, it's okay, we're going to take care of it. Well, I happen to know a little thing about insurance. When you have an insurance claim, there's an investigation to make sure that it's worthy of an insurance claim. And so I'm wondering if the reason why the federal government is planning to pay for that bridge is so that nobody investigates as to what actually really happened. I don't consider the FBI investigation a true one, obviously. So anyways, question/statement. What do you think, sir?
Isn't it terrible that we just don't trust, even the FBI, which used to be the most trustworthy of federal government institutions, unless you're a black civil rights leader, in which case you've been resentful for decades. But at the same time, the FBI, we can't trust or believe the FBI anymore. And now this ship crashed into it, right? The Dolly, like Salvador and not Parton, right? Yeah, like Salvador and not Parton. DALI, and it crashed in. And surely they do have insurance, and then you sue the company to make up the deficit if the insurance doesn't cover it all. The state has insurance. The bridge is insured. They've got all of these things. But then they say, oh, well, we'll just throw billions of taxpayer dollars at it because we're Congress, and that's what we do. And why, you ask, are we, the taxpayers, on the hook for this when you've got the shipping line, the state of Maryland, the city of Baltimore, the port of Baltimore? You have all these other entities, and then it falls to the federal government and to us, American taxpayers, billions of dollars to fund all of it. Why, you want to know. And you know that there's no good answer to that, right? Because the bureaucracy has consumed the episode. And when the bureaucracy comes in, it makes members of Congress look generous to say, well, I was behind, billions of dollars to rebuild the Francis Scott Key Bridge in Baltimore, even though a foreign shipping company and the ship, the Dolly, which has an owner, are clearly responsible for the incident. And now, do you suspect that there is something more to this than the ship crashing into the bridge and knocking it down?
Well, I've watched that video. I woke up at 2 o'clock in the morning to it. I won't forget it. It was incredible. I remember praying for all of those that were impacted by it. If my sniffer's right, it has to do with not doing an investigation, a thorough insurance investigation. I think that, you start pointing fingers at, it was the bridge. It was the people who were not following the guides. It was this and that. It just feels and smells. It's like the COVID shot, right? I didn't have any evidence as to why I was not going to take it, but it was a gut instinct, and damn if I wasn't right. This is the same thing for me. There's just something fishy about it. Makes no sense why we would jump the gun and foot the bill for something that it's insured, as you just pointed out. State, the port, as well as the shipping company. Just doesn't make any sense to me, and it's sad. I pray that God's wrath comes swift and quickly upon all of these people that have been abusing us. We are the slaves that Moses pulled out of Egypt. Yes, we are.
Yes, we are. I love that you follow your instincts and you believe in trust your instincts. I love that. I think most people should until you've proven yourself to be, wrong about everything. I think you should always go with your instincts, and I believe your instincts, and I like your instincts very much. Let me say that for openers.
Thank you, sir.
And they're saying,
thank you for your time.
Oh, thank you. Thank you very much, Nina. And I guess, they were saying that the bridge would cost $1.7 billion to $1.9 billion to rebuild. And then the Congress gets a hold of it in a 1,547-page bill, which is supposed to be just a stopgap measure to get us through a couple of months. And the Krupniks take over. And before you know it, we're on the hook for everything, aren't we? Because the Democrats and the Republicans are no great shakes when it comes to most of this stuff either. Our government is a disappointment, I think it would be fair to say. And it's true that you can't believe, Nina, you can't believe the FBI anymore. That is tragic. It really is bad. We've become more and more like the Soviet Union in so many ways, and I believe that's because the left is here in ways that the left has never been here in the United States before. But the Democrat Party has been taken over by the real left, by the actual left. And they're not liberals at all. These are not the good guys. They're not just here to, feed the hungry. We feed the hungry in the United States. These guys are here to steal everything and wreck the place and demolish capitalism and bankrupt everyone. That's just who they are. It's what they do, Nina, thank you, and we'll see where this goes. And again, you got a Republican Speaker of the House, you got a Republican, very slim, slender majority in the House of Representatives, Schumer, the Lizard King, and the rapscallions that follow him are in charge of the Senate, and they're here to damage the Republican Party. That's what that's their primary goal in life, is to damage the Republican Party. And they don't care if the country goes down like the Titanic. If the Democrats call it a win, then the country will go down like the Titanic, and they'll declare victory. They don't give a flying hoot, I tell you, as long as the Republicans lose. Because for them, it's just all about the midterms, the next midterms. As Howard Dean explained when he was the Democratic National Committee chairman, he created the permanent campaign. There is no time off between elections. They just turn everything into an ongoing fight forever from election to election.
Remember I talked about the permanent campaign? Well, before I got to the DNC, we didn't have a permanent campaign. You would campaign for 1 year when you had a candidate, and then if you didn't win, you wouldn't campaign for the next 3 years. No wonder we lose. Now we don't just have a permanent campaign for electing Democrats. We have a permanent campaign for influencing policy. It brings us a little closer to the European model.
This Europe envy thing is so pathetic. It's so sad. It genuinely is. They're a ridiculous bunch of people, and they don't know what gender is. They don't know what a woman is. We've got a Supreme Court justice that couldn't tell us what a woman is. Isn't that amazing? And they want men showering with girls in school locker rooms because it makes them feel like they're open-minded. They're so open-minded, their brains fell out. Aren't they amazing? Just extraordinary. And the news media, this is kind of an interesting development. The Wall Street Journal has a piece that everybody knew all along that Joe Biden was severely mentally impaired while he was president, but they didn't say anything because they're liars and Democrats, but I repeat myself. And Chris Lickspittle-Saliza posted a video. I was like, well, gosh, maybe I should have asked a question or done my job or something like that. Ex-CNN pundit apologizes for ignoring Biden's mental decline. Yeah, well, maybe you should have been listening to this show. Maybe you should have been following the news. And the Wall Street Journal, how the White House functioned with a diminished Biden in charge. It's kind of fun, but if you've been paying attention, it was obvious to you all along. Not the news media, but to you and to me. 888-630-9625.
CNN sucks.
Ah, yes. All right, I've got a lot of audio for you. And again, we're keeping a close eye on Capitol Hill. See what happens there. But I will share with you what I believe to be President Trump's thinking on all of these matters. And I will share that with you coming up because we're sort of going to. And also, amazing story. I shared this with you days ago now. A Tennessee college where an African-American student found a horrible racial slur written on here. Look at my desk. There's the N-word. Well, an investigation ensued, and you'll never believe what they discovered. That's coming up. Right, now let's go back to the telephones, Michael. Let's go to Chuck, calling from the great state of Tennessee. Charles, you're on the Chris Plant Show.
Well, first off, Chris, thank you very much for everything that you do. And when I found you a couple of years ago, when all this madness started, I mean, you were just a breath of fresh air to be able to hear the truth for a change.
The truth for a change. I love the truth. My mother taught me to be truthful. Started at a very early age.
Yeah, so that's great. So did my parents, too. I was raised in a military family. Of course, I joined. And also the other thing is when you play the national anthem at the end of every show, I mean, I can't hear that song enough.
Yeah.
It just fills me with pride. But like all other Americans, I'm just I mean, I got to be careful with my language here because it upsets me so much. But what the heck is wrong with these damn Republicans? This is what we voted for. We want this change. We don't want the 1,500-page bills no more. We don't want all the crud stuffed in there. We don't want all the little dirty secrets. And who cares about a stadium in Washington, D.C.? We got a country to fix. Come on. Get your act together. This is what we voted for.
Right. Yeah. No, maybe you should run for Congress now.
Well, I know one thing. Because of shows like you and the people you have on your shows, I'm going to remember this. And I'm going to write down all these names, and I'm going to do everything I can and post everything I can to make sure these people never get reelected.
Yeah, it is amazing what we see. We see it again and again and again, year after year, election after election, don't we?
Yes, and it's just it's sickening because, come on, we gave a – I mean, our voice is clear, and this is how out of touch these people that you're surrounded by in D.C. I feel sorry for you and your staff, but you know, you told me before. I was the one that said, "How do you deal with all these morons?" And he said, "Well, we have tunnels, so we avoid them."
Right.
But, you know, he kind of laughed at that. But, yeah, I mean, to be surrounded by all these clueless people, it's just because they're out of touch with what we want, and it's obviously true.
Well, and a lot of them, like Chip Roy, for example. He believes that he's opposing this based on principle because he can't vote for something that says, let's ignore the debt ceiling, right? And I kind of get that, Chuck. But, right?
Yeah.
But in this instance, the broader context, the bigger picture is give your own party the win. Just get on board with your own party. And the speaker, you know, may need some help. But these are fascinating times, Chuck. Thank you for the call.